this is my blog. It's like I don't, as you can see, I don't post very often. If I just zoom in, the colours aren't great, so let's just move over here. So yeah, so basically, this is my blog. I don't write on it very often, which is why I'm less hesitant to lift and shift it. But essentially, this is a ghost blog running on an Azure App Service, and it it basically it's costing me money. It's not because being a Microsoft MVP, I'm very blessed with free Azure credits every month, and I get enough free credits to cover the cost of it. But it uses up most of them. And if I start to spin up any other things I want to play with, I soon find myself hitting the limit. So I either have to fork out my own money or turn it off. So, ooh, White Panther's here, woo, and Stuart the Coder. So welcome everyone. So yeah, so this is my blog. It runs on Ghost, which is awesome because it means that I can, in the browser, even on a phone, I can just go to Ghost, log in, and create posts. So I really like that. But the problem with that is that it's great, but as I said, it costs me money and credits. And to be honest, for a simple blog that I haven't even posted to since January, it's probably costing me a little bit. Like I said, it's free credits technically, but it's burning through my credits more than I'd like. So I recently went to virtually attended NBC Melbourne, where I went to a fantastic front end workshop from Amy Kaepernick. I don't know how you say it, sorry. I've been friends with her for years, I should know that. But yeah, so essentially Amy did a really fantastic front end workshop on CSS layouts. And she was using a front end stack to spin up the website that we then improved with CSS. She used something called Eleventy. So it's a JavaScript static site generator. Now, I mean, I'm a tester these days. I'm not even a proper coder, and I'm certainly not a JavaScript developer, but it seemed pretty straightforward. And I was like, this is cool. So I started to put the site together, but then I had issues with pages not refreshing when I'd expect them to, and I just got into a bit of a muddle. So I thought, you know what, let's just start from scratch and we'll do it together, because maybe people will be watching who know a little bit more about this stuff than I do, and we can just work through it together, right? You know, this is we call this the imposter syndrome battleground. Let's just have some fun, try it out, learn stuff together. You know, maybe you can teach me something, or I can teach you something. You know, this is a learning space. Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? I like that. But yeah, so essentially this is what we're going to try and do today. So what you'll see if I load up Visual Studio Code is I already have one already that's got the images in. So the images will be super useful because it's all the stuff that I actually might want in my posts, so that when I spin them up again, yeah, essentially I can reuse the images, because I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting from scratch with the technology, but the posts will be the same. So this is helpful, but I got into a right mess with this. So we're just going to start from scratch. And like any good developer that isn't using any fancy stack, we are just going to load item. So we've got these nice quick start here, so we can follow that. So we're going to just do that today. If anyone's ever got experience of using Eleventy or anything like it, I think a lot of these static site generators like Eleventy, Svelte, Hugo, and all the other ones, I think they're all pretty similar. But as I said, I just liked Eleventy from seeing it from that workshop. It didn't terrify me, and that's pretty much, I'm sold. Hey, Lachlan, woo! I'm afraid there's going to be no XAML today. This is a Xamarin-free space. Oh, thanks, White Panther. So yeah, I guess it's because I'm a public speaker. You just get used to it, and I guess I'm accent free. I'm sure people disagree with that, but in terms of British accents, being from the south, it's much more like it's, you know, there's less, like, you know, Scouse accents, for example, which is anyone from Liverpool, for those that aren't from the UK. like that's much harder to understand, or Stoke or anything like that, because they say Luke and Book. Whereas, yeah, I guess I just don't have an accent. TM. So White Panther's saying, yeah, less regional, exactly. So White Panther's just saying, I've no experience with this framework, but I'm sure it's similar to a lot of them. Yeah. So that's the approach I'm taking. So let's just bring up. I wanted to try this featured chat so that I can actually show the. Is it featured? I think it's like featured.chat, but let's just try bring it up from here. There you go. Let's share the fun. I don't know how this works, but it seems easier to feature chats rather than going, repeat what people say. Because I did ideally want to have a chat overlay up, but do you know what? Setting up stream is hard. I'm just going to start with the basics of here's a screen and here's a camera. I should stand up briefly, actually. I don't have a standing desk, but I'm going to stand up because this is one of my many Xamarin shirts. So most people know me as a Xamarin developer, and which, if you don't know, is a .NET-based mobile app development technology that's all cross-platform. It's pretty cool, but that's not what today is about. Today is about learning something new. Do you know what? We're going to strip it back. Forget featured chat. It's that's again making it more simple than it should be. We've got to keep it, we've got to be. There's lots of rules here, and I don't have like a bot to set up chat rules or anything, but no question is too stupid. Anyone is welcome. And yeah, be kind to yourself and keep it simple. Because the only way we're going to beat imposter syndrome is if we just keep it simple and work through it together like old friends. So enough talking, let's write some code. We're always, I'm terrible for this as a guest in people's chats because, especially at the moment, I live alone. And during lockdown, I've not seen anyone for 6 months. And so when someone goes live on stream, I'm like, oh, a friend to talk to. So I'm terribly distracting in chat. So I know how easy it is to actually never get round to writing code. So let's actually write some code. So we've got our iTerm here. Let's just zoom in. If anyone's wondering what these funky symbols are, it's a program that I recommend any streamer uses called Keycaster, which is Keycaster like that. It's an app which literally just shows you on screen the commands that you're pressing, but we're all guilty of using keyboard shortcuts all the time. But I bet you use a keyboard shortcut to do something sometimes, and someone's like, wait, how did you do that? So you can see exactly what keys I'm pressing, and we can learn together. So we're in my home. Let's just switch to projects. I have loads of projects in here, and I have way too many attempts at making this blog. But we're just going to create a new folder that we're going to call... Actually, let's just clear the screen first, otherwise everyone will just get distracted by reading my list of projects. I mean, I can't be the only one that gets distracted, right? If someone's... It's like, do you ever find that you're watching... a stream and someone... Or no, it's not watching a stream, sorry. You're watching someone's presentation and they put too many bullet points on the slide and you find yourself distracted reading the points ahead. Or you're playing a game and you've got the closed captions and so you find yourself reading ahead of the voice. Night, Lachlan. But yeah, so you find yourself just reading too far ahead. So the point of that was just, let's clear the list because we'll get distracted reading it. So we're just going to make a new one. We're going to call it I don't know, Came with Luce blog, take 10, because that's pretty much what it is. Coding with Luce, final. Okay, coding with Luce, final. I can work with that. I'm always up for a bit of group input. So coding with Luce, final it is, in honor of White Panther. Okay, so now let's move into it. Ooh. Coding. go. Okay. So we've got this going. So let's start. I'm pretty sure I've already got Eleventy installed. So I don't think I need to do the first step. But in case anyone's watching who's not done like web development before, npm is Node Package Manager, which is essentially a kind of tool for bringing in libraries and stuff for your web projects. And one of the things that you can do is you can install a project with this -G flag, which basically means global. So it means that it's available to you anywhere. So you can do stuff like bit of meta here, npm-v. So that's available there. And that's because it's available globally. If you didn't have that -G flag, it would only install it for the project/folder it's currently in. The other one that you might see is a npm install --save-dev, which essentially means that it saves it for the project that you're in, so it becomes a package that will get installed if you actually run the install. You'll see as we go along. But essentially what this first step is saying is give us access to this Eleventy package out of the box, or sorry, globally. The reason it's got this @11ty/ ahead of it is because there's actually something else in npm called Eleventy. So if you just did npm install -g Eleventy, it wouldn't actually install what we're trying to install. So this is just being specific, but we can just run it anyway so that you can see what happens. If you've never seen this before, you might just want to see the experience. So 11ty, 11ty. So that will go off and install it. I really ought to bring up the chat on something beyond just my phone. My phone's great, but it means that you constantly see me looking down, which looks really weird, but it's because it's chat. So I'm just quickly doing this on a separate screen. Yeah. See, I mean, I'm always hesitant to do it on stream because I just want chat settings, pop out player. Nope, I want to pop out chat. Yeah, you're right. It is whatever makes you comfortable, but my phone locks itself. So, like, this is just a terrible idea. I like it because my phone's running on 4G, so it's not using up any bandwidth, and I know that I'm instantly getting access. But in this instance, it's just not very... I'm getting live feedback, but I'm not getting... it's staying locked. As I said, it locks itself, and now I'm waffling because I'm trying to multitask. And trying to ask anyone to multitask, let alone someone with ADHD, you don't get very far. So I'm just going to quickly do this, and then I promise I'll make sense in a minute. White Panther used to balance mine in a box. Yeah, I do have technically I do have a phone stand somewhere. Yeah. Oh, I can hear myself. Let's not do that. There we go. So I just need to pop out chat, and then we can go back to what we're doing. But yeah, as I was saying, I have a stand. Ooh, oh God, no. Sake. There we go. Okay. Am I still live? Because accidentally, I've got hot corners activated, and I just ruined it by putting the mouse in the wrong place just to pop out chat. So cool. So chat settings, switch to non-mod settings, pop out chat. There we go. That's what I wanted. Yeah, there we go. We can all hang out together now. But yeah, as I was saying, I have a wooden phone stand that I got from IKEA for £1. So I can pop it in like that, for example, which is helpful. But it doesn't stop my phone locking itself, so here we are. But we're good. I've got the chat open now, so as long as the internet keeps up to actually load chat live, we're good to go. And then we might actually get around to writing some code. I feel like a proper streamer today because I'm having, my laptop's crashed 3 times. But that was Twitch Studio because OBS seems to behave better. And yeah, gone live, loading the chat box. It's good. And people are here, which is nice. I appreciate all of you who've turned up. I appreciate it's a Saturday afternoon, so some people might not want to sit and watch code if it's what you do all week. But do you know what? In celebration of that, I'm going to see if this works. I have a victory button on my Stream Deck, and I want to know if you can hear it. I feel like that. Can anyone hear? Yeah, let me know if you heard that cheer. If you didn't, I'll fiddle with thing. But yeah, pretty much the first sound effect I installed on my Stream Deck Mini when I bought it was a cheer from Epidemic Sounds, because as an imposter syndrome battleground, as this I like to think of this stream, I like to think that celebrating our successes is the most important sound effect we could possibly bring in. I mean, I can bring in, music from all sorts of different places, and I can dab, and I can just do silly little things to make it fun. But cheering's important. I wanted some kind of like sword clashing sound to be like, yeah, we're fighting it. But we'll see how. But I couldn't find the right sound effect, so for now it's just cheering. So let's actually go back to what we're trying to do. So, it's doing good old npm. Do you know what? We're going to kill that because I know it works. So, again, clear the screen. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves with too much info. So the first thing it wants us to do is echo this markdown into a README. So we can do that. We're not going to call it README though. We're going to call it something else. Echo. What's the hash gone? Okay. Echo. Doesn't want it to appear apparently, but it's the right button for it. So we'll see how we go. Echo. Page header into, oh, doesn't feel right. Echo. Okay, that made it appear. To be fair, my MacBook does need a repair. It's got the butterfly keyboard problem, so if I'm ever on your stream and you find me writing in chat with double E's or random full stops, that's because I'm using my built-in butterfly keyboard. I was supposed to get it repaired, but then I didn't want to lose it for 2 or 3 weeks when I had to speak at a conference, and then lockdown happened and I can't take it in anymore. But then I've also had warnings that the battery needs servicing, and obviously it's crashing sometimes, so I think it's just having a bad time. We're not going to do this into README, we're going to do this into index.md. Okay, so what that's doing is it's saying, oh, that's not going to work, is it? Is it going to work? Let's just see what's in index. Oh, that worked, cool. So, if anyone's wondering, ls is just listing the contents, and then cat is just saying spit out what's in the middle of it, because I've had this debate with CLW, or Corey Hurricane Weathers, as he's known. Well, not a debate, but we had this talked about. I think it was last week on his stream about people that use command line, and lots of people that are used to things like Visual Studio for writing C#. They have the command line scares them. But I always argue that there's a time and a place for the command line, and why would I need to spin up a whole text editor just to look at the contents of a page? So here we are. So now it says to run Eleventy. So what this should do is it runs through any markdown files it finds in the folder, and then says, yeah, as you can see here, it's compile any files matching valid template file extensions into the output folder. So if we run that, there we go. So what it's done is it's found that index.markdown file, then written it into an underscore site folder, index, and then index.html. So this is how Eleventy works. And so I've restarted my blog about 3 times now. So I've watched a video from the creator of Eleventy. He actually went on Jason Lengstorf's Learn with Jason and did a really fantastic video on actually Eleventy, and he talked Jason through it. I've not finished the video, but I've watched it enough to understand. So yeah, essentially what it does is for every markdown file it finds, and it's not strict on layout. You can structure the file system however you like. So you can even have folders, but it requires, yeah, so you can structure it however you like, but it will find any markdown files, and then under this site subfolder, create a folder for every markdown file name, and then create an index.html from it. So it's nice and easy to get started. So like with my Ghost blog I'm replacing, it supports markdown, which is important to me because one, it's what I'm used to, and two, it's simple. I don't want anything complex, or I need to, do fancy things every time I want to write a new post. So Markdown's perfect for me. So I just wanted something nice and simple. Yeah, and it says it's a simpler static site generator, so perfect. So if we have a look now, as you'll see, we've got that index.markdown. So if we actually, there we go. So we've got the next stage here, which is run Eleventy serve to start up the service. So we can do that. -- serve. So that will go ahead and, oh, I can't spell. No, wrong place. There we go. So that's now running. So if we grab this URL, I literally have a dedicated browser just for running tests, which is Firefox Nightly. Because I wanted a good excuse to try Firefox Nightly because it seems to have some quite nice CSS support tools. Like for grid, it had a really nice layout that puts lines in the page. But I don't want to make it my main browser because I like Edge, like the new Edge. But yeah, so if we go to index. So before I do that, actually, you'll see that I just went to 8080. So what happened was it cannot get because it doesn't actually know what the root page should be. So if you just went to localhost 8080, it's basically saying, well, where do I go? What page do I show? So that's why we just need to do it. So boom, there you go. All I did was write one, so in Markdown, that hashtag is, or sharp sign, pound sign, whatever you want to call it, that we put in here. This is essentially an H1. So if you're used to writing HTML, or even Microsoft Word, pretty much heading 1 exists, and that's what this is. So that's pretty cool. So we can, so all we did was just say, stick us a heading 1 called page header. And you'll see this actually if we inspect the code. Just zoom into this bit at the bottom here. So there we go. So as I said, so all we did was say, give us this top level header, and it's turned it into an HTML for us. So we've got this nice page with HTML body, and then inside the body it's got the H1. We didn't write any of that. All we did was just do the markdown, and that's one of the benefits and powers of these kind of static site generators, especially those that support markdown, is that all we said was give us this one line, and it's turned it into an HTML page for us. So we don't need to write a load of HTML. We could, if we wanted to, but then we'd lose the power of markdown, and we'd have to start knowing how to do certain things, and I think it's better like this. So I think that's cool. So we've got our page. So if we just load this in code now, we're going to do a new window because I want to steal those files. Nope. There we go. Actually, yeah. So we can, I will zoom in on this in a sec, I promise. But this is just opening a folder, so we should be okay. So we're going to open that. And we're going to make sure that it's, there we go, nice and readable. So here we've got, as you saw from terminal, we have that site, and it made that index.html. At the moment, it's only got that index. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a new folder because I want to put things in a folder called posts. So if we move move index.markdown into posts, we can then, if we bring up the terminal here. If we from then here and then run, actually, we probably don't need to do that actually. If we, wrong window, let's just close that for now. We can steal it from Finder rather than worrying about the code editor. So if we look in here, if we make a change to this file, so we just say coding with Luce and we save that, what should happen, I believe, is it should be watching. But I might be jumping ahead here, so let's just kill this and do this again. Oh yeah, that's why, because we need to run Eleventy first. And it should write the pages. So if we go into site index. Yeah, see, this is what I never understand. Is that we've just moved everything. Yeah. Oh, that's why I need to do that. There we go. I was in the wrong level. I should have known. So yeah, what was essentially happening there was that it wasn't making any changes because I'd accidentally made posts inside of site index. So now, if we have a look at the terminal, it should, if we do that again, there we go, writing one site. So now, if we go into site, and we go into index, yeah, so we've got the same page again, but if we just have a look at the contents, hey, why is it still, let's just go back up one. Strange things are happening. This is just live coding for you. So basically, the reason I'm confused is because I just changed the contents of that page. I would have thought it would have updated, but we need to do post/index. That should be right. It's because it's not live. See? Human error. So let's just get back up one. We will leave the terminal eventually, by the way. I find it quite comforting. So we've got posts. So if we go into site now, we should see what's in this one. Okay, so that's the wrong one. So if we cd into site again, and then cd index, and then cat index. Okay, wait, what? Okay, strange things are happening. Well, anyway, we can mess around with this because the only reason that we did that one was just to follow the getting started. So there's a longer getting started guide if we want. But essentially, we've seen that we can create those files like that. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete everything in here from Finder. Let's just bring Finder up. Let's find the right window. I have to have my laptop lid open, otherwise the audio is terrible. Because for some reason the microphone right here picks up fan noise when the lid's shut. But it brought Finder up in that window, so I'm like, oh wait, it's down here, but which left and right do I need to go? So if we just go to projects, so I'm just going to bring this over here. 2 seconds, I'm just going to go to it, and then I'll bring the window over. Why is it being so difficult? There we go. There we go. Okay. Nope. Come back. There we go. Okay, so this is what we're going to do is we're going to delete all of this because we're going to do it properly. Now we know the basics of how it works. We can actually do it properly. So we're going to start by installing the whole thing as an actual web project. So we can go back into terminal here and we can say npm init -y. No, we're not going to do -y actually. So -y means yes. So it's basically saying accept everything as default, but we actually want to make some changes in it. So it's just going to follow it through. So yeah, as it's saying, this utility will walk you through creating a package.json. So what a package.json file is, as you'll see in a minute, is kind of like a how do I work, how do I get started thing for any JavaScript projects. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of a how do you get started with it thing, which is helpful. But as you'll see in a minute, there's just some bits that it comes with, so we just need to scaffold it out, which is what this is about. So we can call it that. If you just press enter, it saves the default. So that's the package name, it's a version, entry point, I guess is, yeah, index. Leave all these, oh, this will be, don't know yet. That'd be me. Yep. Default is yes, which is what it means in the brackets. Cool. So now in our folder we have a package.json. Woo! Now let's just move this down a bit. So this might be a little bit large. There we go. So as I was saying, this is kind of the starting point for a web project. So the script that you get out of the box is something called test. So if you look here, it automatically, let's just make it a bit bigger. It's yeah, it's you can run the scripts from here. So what it's saying is you can do the equivalent of npm run and then test, and it will carry out this command here. Now we don't have any test set up, which is why all it will do is say to you error, no test specified, and then quit. But eventually it will start to do more things with it. So do you remember I mentioned earlier about the fact that you can call save dev? Well, that's what we're going to do here. So we can do npm install save-dev, and then we're going to do @11ty / Eleventy, I believe was the right one. So what that will do now is it will go off and it will grab Eleventy for our project, but you'll see it appear in here later on. So there'll be like dependencies that it brings in. So when you run, say, just npm install with nothing else, it will go through your package.json and pull down anything that you've said in this file your project needs. Because the way it works with dependencies is you don't put your, so when you run an npm install, it downloads what it calls node modules. Now they all get saved into a node_modules folder that you'll get in your project. But when you push it up to something like version control, so whether it's GitHub or GitLab or Azure repos or anything like that, your node modules won't go up there with you. What happens is that when you download this project or any project with a package.json, when you run npm install, it will then go, oh, well, these are the things in there. I'll go and grab them and then create a node modules folder for you locally in the project that you've cloned so that you can then run the project. And so what this will do is it should add, here we go, so it's adding something called dev dependency. So now we have access to Eleventy. The latest version, which is what this hat means, is currently 0.11.0. So we've got that going for us, so that's cool. Oh, my chat room's, there we go. Right, so that's that started. So now this is just the basics of this is slowly becoming a web project. So that's cool. Packages are looking for funding. Are packages looking for funding? I don't know. I guess a lot of them are open source, aren't they? So they'll have maintainers and stuff. I'm not really a web developer, so, and if I do, any web development I did at work for a while was all ASP.NET. I'm a mobile developer, so who knows? But let's, where were we? Cool. So we've done that bit where it said initialize it, we've installed it, now we need to run it. So we know that works, but we can run it again just to be on the safe side. Can't hurt to be careful, right? So let's have a look. Let's just kill that. Wait. Oh, it's because my phone's on the button. There we go. Let's just kill that. So what are we in? What's going on? Let's try that again, shall we? Oh, there we go. There we go. So you can see that actually, as I was talking about, there's that node modules. If we listed what's in node modules, it's, yeah, there's a lot of junk in here. And this is one of the downsides to like NPM. And I guess it's probably the same for if you do .NET development, you know about NuGet packages. It's probably the same downside, which it's just hidden about dependencies. So, you know, you say, just give me this one library, but then in order to make that library or package, terms are interchangeable. In order to make that package work, the developer who wrote that package under the hood would have been relying on other libraries to help. And so with stuff like NuGet, you don't ever see that. You can dig into it and find out what the dependencies are, but you just say, hey, give me this package, and it grabs it. Whereas with NPM, it's just a bit more open. So all this stuff is coming in as part of maybe just Eleventy, but it could be other things as well. But this is exactly why you don't push your node modules up to version control, but instead allow people to run npm install, or npmi shortcut also works, to pull those all in, because, you know, otherwise your project get massive. People only need it to work locally. So, you know, that's where we're at. So we've got those projects in. They wanted us to run npx Eleventy, so let's do it. We'll do it from here so that we can watch the page at the same time. So we're doing this step here, which is npx Eleventy. Cool. So it wrote 0 files because there's nothing there, but that's cool. Now, one interesting thing to note about this npx Eleventy is that this is if you're if you don't have Eleventy installed globally. So obviously you saw me at the start talk about npm install -g Eleventy, and that's what gave me Eleventy at the command line anywhere. But if you've just got it in the project, then by doing npx Eleventy, it's just using the Eleventy if it's available in that project, which obviously this is because we asked it to be. But yeah, so we could technically just do Eleventy here, not npx Eleventy, but because it was there, I just wanted to cover it. So now it's saying create some templates. So it's creating 2 template files. So what's this one? This is... So it's talking about HTML templates and Markdown templates. I don't want HTML templates. I'm going to stick to Markdown. So we already know that this works. I'm going to skip this step. Yeah, maybe. So we saw this already. Create a Markdown file, run Eleventy, and it will generate those HTML files in Markdown. As you can see here, this will compile any content templates in the current directory or subdirectories into the output folder, which is _site. Cool. So we've already done this step, and we will get back to this. I don't want to repeat the steps we've already done. We're actually just going to read this a bit and then start by creating the actual pages. So if I have a look in my trash, I should have... So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all of these, and then I'm going to go to in a folder. What are we going to go to? I want to go to okay. So I'm just going to bring up Finder again. So what I've done, I've cheated, is we're going to create a new folder and we're going to call it posts, and then we're going to paste all of these. Here's what I prepared earlier style posts. So if we now, as I mentioned, go back to here, and if we run Eleventy, okay, so this is what you get for getting ahead of yourself. But that's okay, we can solve this. So what it's saying is, so sorry, just stop. So I've just seen Stuart the coder saying, so that was just doing the boilerplate stuff. Yeah, so that was just spinning up a kind of example. So we're going to follow the same idea. It's just that we're going to cheat with a load of posts I've already put in. So what this is complaining about, and we'll get back to this, is that it's using templating so that each post follows a similar template, but it's just saying that, hey, I can't find it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this, and if we come into here, we'll go up. So one of the things that you can do with Eleventy is something called includes, and this is where you can put templates. So I'll come back to the what's going on in a sec. I'm just going to copy this in, and then I'll explain what's going on. So yeah, so it's talking about templates here, right? So one of the things that Eleventy supports is different templating engines. So if we just go to the docs, so layouts, here we go. So this is what I was talking about. So Eleventy supports certain different types of layout. So you can specify what a layout that every post will follow. So it supports Nunjux or Liquid or other templating engines you might have heard of. I'm using Nunjux, as you'll see from the .ngk extension. But if we just have a look at it, so base layout in here is just saying we want every page to have these headers with this style sheet, which doesn't exist yet, but we'll make that. We're just gonna, and then it starts to use this templating language with double brackets. So it's basically saying the content, just stick inside of main tags, just do the content. So that's just the base layout. You just create that once, and all that's pretty much doing is just spinning up a page. So you've got the body, main, and then inside of it, the content. Then you've got base layout. So it uses YAML front matter, it's called, which is what's this stuff inside these three dashes. And so post layout is another layout, another template that we can use, layout template, but it's saying take the base layout and then add on top of it. So we've got this base layout, and then we've got each one will then be an article. It will have the title. So I'll show you in a minute, but in each post, it will, in the front matter, you'll have at the top, you'll have a title, and that's what it's using in here. So for each one that's using this layout, it will grab the title that you put at the top and then put it in here. And that will be the page header, and then you've got date time. So the reason I do this with date readable is it's just doing some stuff to make the format on the page look nicer. We'll see that in a minute when we actually get to running it. So if we then go into one of the actual posts, so for example, where's Journey? Story into code, here we go. So this is the first blog post I ever wrote. So we've given it a layout. It's using that template. We've then given it a title, which is what it's popping into the page, and then a date. So that was the date it was written, because once we get it all displaying, as you'll see, the home page should give you a nice list of posts that you can click on with an excerpt. So that's kind of the, like the preview section. So so it's kind of, if you leave it out, it will just take the first paragraph of the blog, but you might want to be a bit more specific. And then this post tags what's important. So essentially, what happens is it will go through, and anything that's tagged with post, that's what it's using to find what post to display in that list. So that's something that we've kind of, I stole from something else, but it's not out of the box, as it were. So I'm just quickly copying something because I've also got this paged array. So this is important because I didn't write this, I stole this. But yeah, so this is what brings in pagination. So for all the items in the items block, just do a list. So that's what's displaying it in the page. But it's also good for next stuff because, yeah, essentially you want this. If it's only listing pen to a page, then obviously you're going to want to have a way to go, well, go to the next page. So, because otherwise you only see the first 10 posts, and what about after that? So let's just go back to here, let's clear the screen and try it again and see if this works this time. Nope. Filter not found, date ISO. Okay, so we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So, surprise, surprise. This is what happens when you try and lift and shift. This isn't even lifting and shifting this blog. This is lifting and shifting previous, but it broke, so I deleted it to start again. But let's do this. So, if we... So as you can see here, it's just talking about layouts, and that's what we were doing. I wanted to talk about dates, didn't I? So it's complaining about template includes post layout error, filter not found, date ISO. So what have I missed? Let's just open. So I'm just in my bin here where I deleted it before. Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's just grab it out of the bin then. Copy. Let's go back to here. There we go. So if we have a look at that now, index. So this comes from oh no. So that was the stuff that I wanted. That might actually be template, so it's okay, so it's moaning about missing files, unknown block tag excerpt. Did I spell it wrong? Or am I just missing something? I can fix that. So let's just load the bin again because there's something I'm missing, I'm sure. So posts. Just include these. So these are basics, config stuff for Eleventy that tells it how to do certain things. So that's what that date thing was talking about. So if we open up our folder again, let's go in here, I think. Right, yeah. So as you can see, they look hidden because they're dot files, but we can have a look at them in here. So eleventy.js is what's doing that funky date stuff. So this is just code I stole from the internet, but it's saying, yeah, so set the template formats to be those two, add the special filter. So that's what's turning that date into a nicer looking date using a JavaScript library called Moment. Then it's adding that filter, which is saying, yeah, return the date in that format. So month, day, comma, year. And then this pass-through copy, don't worry about too much, but essentially out of the box, it won't copy like folders like styles. So when you're running it, it won't actually it won't find the CSS files that you're referencing, and then it'll blow up. So this won't blow up. You just won't see any styling. And so that's what this is just doing. It's just saying copy styles. And then that's that excerpt stuff. So for the excerpt, in the article, extract the excerpt, and then it's just writing some code down here. Nothing too fancy, and this will end up on GitHub if you actually want to look at this stuff properly, but I don't write JavaScript, so I'm going to avoid explaining it as much as I can, because I think I can sort of explain it, but I might explain it poorly, and I feel like a poor explanation is worse than no explanation. And then our Eleventy ignore is just adding in some stuff for when we deploy it. Otherwise, it tries to do some funny things. But yeah, so we should have everything it needs now. So if we just run Eleventy again. Oh, no, cannot find module moment. Ah, okay. So if we do npm install -- save dev, do moment, should grab moment for us. Although we might have to run npm I anyway, but we'll see how we go. Cool. So now if we try Eleventy again, eventually this will work. That's worrying. Should. What's an index? Yeah, so that's that stuff. But why is it not writing them? Rate 0 files. Do I need to go into posts? If I do it in posts, will it find it? Directory does not exist. -- includes. It does. Okay, so we might be trying to do too much here. Surprise, surprise. But we'll see how we go. So okay, so it's not in there. So it was saying to us, and let me know, by the way, if this is hard to read because of my Grumpy Game Dev just saying that's the thing about Node. Things are either too easy or impossible. Yes. Sounds about right. Yeah, so essentially, all I'm trying to do is just get this to write some posts, but I feel like I'm missing a step to get this to work. Either way, too many dependencies. Yep. I mean, I could have started this from scratch and made it easier for myself. It's just because I had the post already with all the front matter at the top. I kind of had to solve all of those to make it work. But let's just clear the screen again. So, oh, did I put it in the wrong place? That's why. Let's do. We need to move. Yeah, so it's there. Then base layout, paged. Okay, so look what it's saying. So it was saying it couldn't find it, but that seems a bit odd because I'm literally in it. Okay. There isn't a site. Okay, so let's just have a look at the docs, because the docs are pretty good for Eleventy. Docs. So we want to have a look at common pitfalls. It seems a good place to start. Oh yes, the adding drama to stream. It's not deliberate. Like, as I said, this is an imposter syndrome battleground. I'd much rather things were easy, but live and learn. Collections about folder imported from Jekyll. The browser's trying to install. Yep, nope. Let's just have a look. So 11T. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to do specify input folder. Configuration, there we go, input directory. This is what we want to do. So we want to say this is where it looks for templates. So difficult things when overcome are better. Could not agree more. Difficult things when overcome are way better. As I said, I had this blog running. It's just I deleted the pages weren't updating, so I deleted the home page to force it to refresh, but then it never regenerated it, and so it just never worked. But let's try and do this. Here we go. So this is what we want. So in Eleventy.js, it was saying, let's get this out of full screen so that we can. There we go. That's smaller than I wanted it, but there we go. So if we go back to that, let's close all these. Eleventy.js that I talked about. So here, I just want to make it bigger. I don't want to. There we go. Okay, so we want to set up a directory. Okay, so we've got module.exports already, so we can probably just do it in here and say directory. It's going to be an object. So this is just in JavaScript, curly brackets are an object, and then it has properties. So the input is going to be value, and it's going to be, in this case, posts. All right, posts. Do we need a semicolon or anything? Nope. Oh, we do that one, yeah. Okay, so that should work, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Nope. Okay. See, why can't it be easy, right? This is supposed to be a simple static site generator, but I'm breaking already. Okay. So we've got this one here, so we can test it out by doing Eleventy input equals we want a folder, so posts. So post is there. I'm missing something. Try that again. So 11T dash dash. Oh, as you said, we just need to do 11T input equals style.md. But it should just work out the box, but no. Input equals posts style.md. No factories found. So if we just list what's in posts, there's definitely markdown files, so what's the problem? So that's all the stuff about includes and layouts. So by default it's underscore sites, yeah, but that's fine. I just want it to find the file. I don't know why it's not. Oop, no. Okay. So we know that we've got these files, but why is it not finding anything? Do it from here. Problem right, template error zone. Directory does not exist for post layout. Okay. Yeah, so this is breaking because it's I'm doing it at the wrong level, so it's going, well, I can't find that file. So if we okay, so let's have a look. So I like that. It's a plugin for inclusive language. That's totally getting sidetracked, but I'm full of profundity, among other things. Can you guess what else I'm full of? Game development knowledge, grumpiness. Just taking a guess here. Not that you seem grumpy to me. You seem delightful. Everyone in chat's lovely. Okay, so input directory of includes. So that's right. The default is underscore includes. We've got that. What's going on? Directory for layouts. Yeah. Template language nunchuck. That's what we want. I put grumpy in there to level set people. If I didn't put grumpy, you'd expect a nicer person, but I put grumpy in and you expect someone much more grumpy than I am. I like it. Set the bar at like a grumpy level, and then people are surprised when you're not. I like that. That is clever. That is smart. So yeah, as I mentioned, it supports different templating languages. You've got Markdown, JavaScript, Liquid, Nunjucks, handlebars, etc. We're going to use Nunjucks. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of what's going on. Now, I don't want to pass in anything custom. Why isn't this easier? Okay, so tutorials. This is my favourite word, tutorial or workshop. Workshops are fun too. Okay, I've read through these before, which is how I think it was this one I followed to make the page I'm on now. But I feel like I'm missing something, so let's just try it and see. So this is just, yeah, we've done this bit. Done this bit. Make it valid, yep. Yeah, so make it valid. So that's what we're saying. So instead of adding a bunch of junk into our markdown file to make sure that it's got the bits that we need to run. Suggestion, make a brand new boilerplate one and pivot from there. Okay, let's do it. Define boilerplate as in one of their templates or... so Zach Leatherman is the founder of Eleventy that I mentioned. Yeah, so by boilerplate, do you mean one of the starter projects or out of the box? Whatever it pops out by default. Okay. Well, so it doesn't pop anything out by default per se. It will just, you can create a simple markdown file and then go from there. So let's try that then. So let's yeah, so there is a this template works repo. So if we switch to think it's is it that one? If we run 11T on that. Do you know what? Okay. We're gonna this is me doing a reel it in impression. I'm gonna reel it in and start from the beginning. I'm overdoing it here. I could easily just create a post and copy and paste the contents without the front matter rather than mass pasting everything. So, bad Luce. Let's do better. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're still going to use final, but we're going to delete everything in it. We're going to rem ref, which essentially goes, hey, delete everything, and force it. So dash R is recursive, which basically means go through every folder structure, and dash F means force. So we're basically saying whatever's in here, in folders and subfolders, just force it to delete. Not bad. Looking for a solution instead of just giving up. Yeah, well, let's be honest. Giving up's the easy option. And we're developers. We didn't sign up for the easy option. Like, you know, we have things like rubber duck debugging. We have jokes about solving problems because being a developer is hard. And that's okay. You know, we're all a bit masochistic, I think. We all like to fight with code. This is a giant glass, I know, but it's great. But yeah, why give up? You know, you lovely viewers are chatting with me. You're not getting mad that I'm failing miserably. So if you're not mad, why should I be? Let's just stick with it. Anyway, you know what? We're just gonna rm rf coding release final coding release final, and we'll make it again. But it will not be final. We're going to cheat and do Control R, and we're going to do make. There we go. So now we should have an empty thing again. Cool. We are whoosh, boom, back at the beginning. final. No, really, I mean it this time. Yep. But it's fun. It's all part of the story, right? One day I'll be up there as a streamer that Surly Dev will pop by and start clipping all this like silly things that happen. But that's like things to aim for, isn't it? It's a bit like if you say Docker, Robertables will turn up. I mean, technically it's Robert Tables because of the joke, Little Bobby Tables, but everyone says Robertables, and it's just almost become like a family tradition now, like community family. Okay, so this post is by the guy that wrote Eleventy, so we're gonna take this as a sign that we should just slow down and do it. Well, I've not seen Surly Dev in a while. I think he's on holiday for like 2 months, but a bit like Robertables and lots of other people, like Copperbeardy. There's just certain people who you could almost guarantee will just appear. They're just fantastic support who, if they're available, you know full well 9 times out of 10 when you go live, they will show up to support you. So it's a great community, and it's getting bigger as well because you know I started just watching a couple of people, and then those couple of people introduced me to another streamer either from their chat or because they're a guest, and then you go and join their chat and their streams, and you find that they are very similar. You know, they have the same welcoming and inclusive values, and the same kind of people show up in chat. So it's a fantastic place. That's why I do it. I mean, everything always goes wrong. My laptop's crashed 3 times. If I try and do mobile development, normally my CPU is running at 100% and so it can't handle it. Like, things happen. But it's okay because it happens to all of us. It's a rite of passage. Ever-increasing motley crew of malcontents and ne'er-do-wells. Exactly. Welcome to the family. We're not perfect, but we do our best. Does a command line stress you out? No. Have you been burned one too many times by confusing error messages and unintuitive syntax? Yes. Don't worry, that's pretty common. Yeah. Okay. So 11T is beginner-friendly static site generator. Okay. A static site generator is a program that combines templates and data to create HTML. That's what we want. We want Markdown. Yep, so 11T, we're going to use 11T to build a blog website that lets us write our content in Markdown. Perfect. Before we dive in, let me tell you a little bit. Okay, so let's get through all that bit. We've talked through a lot of that. But yeah, it's basically just saying that it's something that he created to make life a lot simpler. So it's talking about installing Node. We've done that. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is create that file. So we're going to do something that might scare a few people. I promise you. We're going to hold hands. We're going to do it together. And do you know what that is? We are going to jump into Vim. Does anyone see Vim and just go, ah? Because this looks terrifying. But essentially, it's an empty file, which is why you're just seeing all these lines, 0 lines, 0 characters. Because I don't need a whole text editor just for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to press I. I puts us in insert mode, which means that we can start actually putting some content in. So all we're going to say is, I know it says this is my title, but I'm going to zoom in a bit. There we go. I want to make sure everyone can read it all right. But yeah, so coding with Luce. See, I've never actually tried Nano. Oh, I think I might have done, but got a bit confused because a lot of people have heard of the British company / TV radio broadcaster, the BBC. And the BBC is based, it's got one studios and stuff in London, but it's also got a very, very big base outside of London in a place called Media City, which is a suburb of Salford. Most people call Salford Manchester, but technically it's its own city that touches. So Manchester and Salford are kind of like that. Manchester's much bigger than Salford. But yeah, BBC's local, and so I worked there for a year. And on the team I worked on, we did a lot of stuff where we wrote in Vim. And so even though the kind of stuff I do in Vim is very, very basic, and you could do a lot more with it, it doesn't scare me. So the basics of just opening a file in Vim, editing it and closing it, just from doing it for long enough, it's not so scary to me. But yeah, so we're going to put coding with Luce, and then this is my first paragraph. Cool. So that's that. So we've written that, right? So what do we do now to save it? How do we get out of it? This whole joke about how do you exit Vim. If you want to know, press colon. Oh no, not yet. Press escape. So escape will get you out of insert mode, but then you've got to say, hey, I want to put commands in again. So we can do colon, which you can see at the bottom. We can now write stuff. So we can say W, which is write, Q, which is quit, because you could just do W, but Q is saying, well, once you've written it, also quit. And yeah, so you just do write, quit, and then sometimes you can do exclamation mark, which is forcing it. This won't need it, but if you ever get errors about needing to force it to happen, that's what exclamation mark is for. But yeah, so we're saying write and then quit, because once we've written this file, which is basically save, we don't need it anymore, just leave. Boom, there you go. So if we then do cat again on that file, just have a look at the contents. Ta-da! We did Vim and it wasn't that scary. Hashtag Vim's okay. So we've created that file. Now it's saying you can run Eleventy. So let's do it. Run Eleventy. Cool. Found that file and it wrote it. Could be worse, could be Emacs. Do you know, I've never actually tried Emacs. It's it's just one of those, isn't it, where Nano, Emacs, Vim, they're all very similar. It's a bit like, what IDE do you choose to use? They're all command line based text editors, as in Vim, Nano, and Emacs. I'm not suggesting that IDE is command line. But like I'm not scared by Vim, and I can use it for my use case, like the basic use cases I do, like editing simple files like this. Or another example I've mentioned on streams is gitignore. So .gitignore is if you don't, I don't know, we've only got 3 viewers, so I'm sure but just in case anyone watching, or I always post these to YouTube, so in case you're watching this on demand on YouTube and you don't know, GitHub on Git, so Git is a version control system, and then GitHub is just a well-known version control website, but where you can have an account for free and you can push up code and stuff. And so what gitignore is it's saying it's a .gitignore file. So it's saying, a bit like with that .eleventy.js that we saw earlier, it's saying I don't want these things that listed in this file, don't add them when you push it up to version control. So when you say, here's my code, go and stick it up here so that we've got a version of it saved, other people can access it and whatnot. We're saying leave out those folders. So a good example of that would be node_modules, because as I said, when you push it to version control, you don't include it. And so sometimes you can do stuff like .NET new .gitignore. So if you write .NET files, .NET projects, it'll automatically generate you a .gitignore with common things in there you want to exclude that come with your project that don't need to go up there with your folder. So any Visual Studio config folders or anything like that it also puts in a project, you don't need it because that's personal to you. So it just gives you a nice file that leaves out anything you don't want. But when I'm writing mobile apps with .NET, I use an extension which automatically gives you a .dot folder as well in the project. Now, when you do .NET new .gitignore, it actually puts that folder in there automatically now in the template, but it didn't previously. So I use Vim a lot because it's like, well, I just want to edit this file to add this one line. I really don't need to go to the effort of loading a full text editor to change a line. So that's kind of one of the common use cases I use for Vim. So it's pretty simple. It's just open it, insert, make some changes, write, quit, done. Not that scary. But yeah, so that's why we do this kind of thing. So we've generated, as you saw, we've generated those files. Cool. So if we have a look, we should have, there you go, so we've got site. So if we list what's in site, we've got that blog post file. Again, like with index earlier, it's a blog post, blog-post, and then inside of that will be an HTML with the same name because that's what we called our markdown up here. So we've run that. So there you go. So say we've successfully transformed a markdown file into HTML. Congratulations. Woo. I hope you can hear that. Because if you can't, then I've just gone like that to celebrate cheering that no one else can hear. But yeah, so we've done that. But if we open it, the HTML is not valid output. So that's true. So if we have a look in site, index, there we go. So yes, it's got the H1 and the P tags. But if you've ever written websites, you'll know that yeah, it kind of helps if it has the actual tags around it to make it a full document, because just H1 and P won't work because it needs HTML tags and body and all that stuff. Just plugging my phone in. Bear with me. Cool, right, so yeah, so this technically isn't fully formed HTML. These are HTML tags, but it's missing what you'd normally get in an HTML file. So that's what you're saying here. Yeah, you've got the H1 and the P, but there's not the other bits that you need. So to make it valid without adding a bunch of junk, let's add an Eleventy layout, okay? This is using liquid, but it's the same concept. So it's saying, wrong one. See, I've got obsessed with terminal now. I keep opening it even though I don't need it. So it's saying, in an includes folder, includes, we're going to make something called layout.liquid. We might change this later, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We're just going to follow the instructions. So this is cool. If you look here, you see this little icon here. So Liquid is a templating engine created by a company called Shopify, and this is their logo. So out of the box, Visual Studio Code supports a load of different file extensions. And so for Markdown, for .md or Markdown, it's got this icon. For .html, it's got what looks like nunchucks icon. Nunchucks as in, you know, the martial arts. But yeah, so look, that's why this .liquid has a Shopify icon, because it was created by Shopify. So that was just to zoom out a bit again. So if we go back to what Zach was saying we need to do. So it's saying save these contents. So let's do that. Jump back into here. So if we have a look at what's going on in this file. Just going to see if we get an extension for some IntelliSense. There we go. Know which one we want, so let's try both. Oh, one's snippets, isn't it? Yeah, store them all. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? I just wanted, there we go, that's better. So, we've got the content, so we're just going to call this. Good thing about VS Code is that there's a command for writing HTML boilerplate. Yes, there is. It's like that, isn't it? No, or is it just shebang? There we go, yeah. So you can just do what's called shebang, but it's just an exclamation mark. It spits out all this stuff for you, including the head and the body and stuff, but we're going to delete that because we've already got it. But you're right, it is an advantage of code. Although I think it's, is it Emmet, I think it's called? And it's just that VS Code supports Emmet out of the box. But yeah, we've already got the whole stuff here. So we've got, let's just change this, coding with Luce blog. Cool. And then it's saying, yeah, stick in the page title, which is a variable that we saw earlier, because that's what these double brackets are about, and then put the content. So, yes, it's talking about here. So it's just not familiar with syntax. You may want to take a second to head over here, but said it's pretty simple. Double curly braces are used to output a variable. Straightforward. In our layout example, we use content to denote where our markdown template will go. Yeah, so that's fair. So let's say now we need to tell our blog post file to use a layout. So let's add something. So that's where this YAML front matter comes in. So if we go back into this file that we created earlier, and we can put in that stuff at the top. So the layout will be layout.liquid. That's what we said to do, right? Yeah, so this section between including the two triple dashes is called YAML front matter. Yep. It's a way to write data into a template that can be used by Liquid. Yep. And if you use Jekyll, it's made it familiar. I haven't. I've touched on Jekyll, but the CSS side scared me, so I ran away. CSS still scares me, but I feel like I've made enough friends since then and gained enough experience. It's a bit less scary. Because friends is knowledge. Lots of people know CSS, even if I don't. Yeah, so layout key tells Eleventy to look for the files to wrap around the content. Yep. Yeah, so let's move our title text into page title front matter. We can do that. I'm glad someone likes CSS. I think the thing with CSS is that it's easy to get started, but it's also very easy to start getting overwhelmed with it because of this whole cascading idea. You start to get overwhelmed and a bit confused when stuff starts to not behave how you'd expect because if you're new to CSS, you don't realize that it follows this whole cascading idea of specificity. So if you just say that every like HTML page should have a white background, but then later on down the line you say that for this, I don't know, background support example. But yeah, pretty much as you go lower down, so kind of the HTML level is the broadest that you can have, then it'd be body, and then going down into it, you know, H1 or H1 with a class name, for example. That's where you start to get more specific. And if you start to say that you want to customize something at that level, anything that you've declared further up, saying everything's like white background, for example, or the text is black, if you then apply this, call the same CSS property lower down for that one example where it applies, it will overwrite that. And so that's, again, when you first get started, that can be fairly straightforward. But as you get further down and do more advanced things, it starts to get into a right mess with what level things are happening and stuff getting overwritten. And I have plenty of people that know CSS and they just look at a problem I've got and go, oh yeah, you're just doing this. And I'm like, but I think it's all fair to say we all have that. You know, I can look at a Xamarin like mobile app, and I can just look at the code and work out roughly what's going on. Whereas I'm sure some people just look at it and be like, yeah, this looks like gobbledygook to me. So, you know, it happens. So, right, let's write some code again. I'm getting distracted. So it's saying move the page title. So in our blog post, we're going to move this into here. So we're going to say page title is coding. Is it going to be in brackets? Not brackets, quotes. Nope. So on page title, it's going to be welcome to coding with Luce. Technically, I'm coding with Luce, you're not with me, but you know what I mean. Close enough. So if we save that now, done that. So let's run Eleventy again. Yes, boss. Let's do it. Oh no, Eleventy. Ooh, template layout error was thrown. What? Directory does not exist for layout.liquid/include. Yes, it does. I put a typo. Excuse me. Yeah, that exists. Oh, done it again. There we go. Take two. So if you missed that, I put the includes inside of site blog post again. That's because you have to. I love Visual Studio Code. I know a lot of people do, but it's too easy with this button to accidentally put things in the wrong place. But let's try again. There we go. So if we just scroll up, run it again. Yeah, there you go. So it found blog post and it wrote the file. So what's next? So it outputted the file. Oh, it says open it. Let's have a look. So there we have it. The title for the page. Then it has the body with all the correct tags. It's substituted in that title that we gave it into an H1. And then this is a paragraph. Huzzah! Let's play the victory sound again. Can anyone actually hear that? Or do I need to sort out the output? Right. Is anyone here cheering? But cool. So there, just let me know if you can hear the cheering. Can hear it a wee bit. Okay, well that's a start. So I'll just quickly. Right, so we've got victory, volume. Turn it up a bit. Right. I've not done anything to cheer yet apart from turn the volume up. I'm just going to test it. Is that better? So I have a Stream Deck Mini on the desk, and I can show you in the window actually. In my Stream Deck, I've got this victory button, and I've just turned the volume up, so hopefully. Oh, you can't hear it. Oh, for God's sake. Well, fingers crossed it'll work again. It's the only sound effect I've got so far. Okay, so we've got that stuff going. Cool. Apply changes automatically. Yeah, that's what we want. So it'll be tiring to rerun Eleventy every time we make a change. Let's use --serve to run a hot reloading local web server that will apply changes automatically when you save. Cool. Okay. So let's do just that. So it's Eleventy --serve, which we saw earlier. Okay. So we know that it lives in --blog posts, so we can copy that link. Let's go back to our blog-post. Yay! Woohoo! We have another page. So we're getting somewhere. We have some content up, but technically we are still not much further than we were an hour ago, so we're not going to celebrate just yet. But woo! We have a page! So that's something. I still want... So I'm going to experiment with something. And it's risky. Very risky, but I can undo it. So what I want to do is I want to move blog post into a folder called posts. Obviously, we'll have to update the URL that we go to, but that's okay. So, no, not at that level. Again, make one here that we're going to call posts. So we're going to move blog posts into it. It should. Yeah, guys. So it's seen that we've moved the folder. So if we now go back to here, not here, here, and then we go to posts, blog post, we should have the same page. Woohoo! Okay. So that's step one. Do you know what? Let's make a nice. Let's do White Panther style and some other people. Really helpful. Let's write out a kind of what we need to do, what we're trying to achieve. No, not that one. Brand new window. So, essentially, what we want to do is we want to get Eleventy displaying a page. Now, some of these we've already done, but we're going to break it down. So, it's no secret that I'm technically like neurodiverse. So, I have a lot of Asperger's traits, but technically my main diagnosis, which isn't on the spectrum per se, but might as well be, is dyspraxia, which is a coordination disorder, but amazingly it actually affects other parts of your brain and makes some stuff harder. So one of the things I struggle with is problem solving and breaking things down. I know, why on earth am I a developer? I am just a glutton for punishment. Oh, so Stuart's code is just saying I've started doing a to-do list of my projects as well. Yeah, I think not just for me, but also as like a, you can tick it off and have that little hit of endorphins when it works. But also, if people are watching, they can get an idea of what you're trying to do, and you can tick things off as you go, and it gives a much bigger picture look at what you want to do in future. So, got to get Eleventy displaying a page. Make organize. Yeah. Organize into posts folder. Then we also want to, what else do I want to do? Create a template. Add some styling. CSS. Add in old posts. Okay, so we've got the basics in. So we've done that one. We've done that one. Oh yeah. Configure root HTML page. Page to be a list of posts without a funny slash hosts, for example. Yeah, so essentially, one of the things I want to do, but much later on, it's, let's be honest, it's hardly a priority, is have it so that we can just go to, like, obviously in this case it's localhost port 8080, but if it's actually deployed, it'd be like lucecarter.co.uk, and actually see that page rather than having to go to like slash whatever. So that's a thing for later. But we've got a little to-do list going, nice. But we're going to carry on working through the tutorial, not get ahead of ourselves. So we know that works. Okay, let's make a blog. Okay, why not? Yeah, so we want to make a blog. Let's make a post, which I've done. Oh, that's nice. So we can add a posts.json file. So, and posts, new file, post.json. Okay, so it's saying we're just going to do that. So, yeah, instead of requiring us to edit everything in our posts folder using YAML front matter, so yeah, the data will apply the data inside to all of the files. Okay. Okay, so again, this is like hierarchy stuff. So it's saying if you use both data files and front matter, any duplicate in the front matter will take precedence. So essentially what it's saying is if you put something in here like layout is layout.liquid, but then in an individual markdown file for a post, you say layout is something like post layout.liquid that maybe inherits from layout.liquid, it will use that for that page rather than layout.liquid. So let's try that. Layout is, oh, it's in quotes, isn't it? So layout is going to be, yeah, it's all in quotes. Layout.liquid. Cool. So in theory, what that means is for every post that you make, it will automatically use that layout without us having to specify. So we can make another blog post to test this theory, and that's what it's asking us to do. So let's go back into here. So we can create a, in here, posts should be in here. That's better. Okay, so we can create another one, which is blog post 2.md, and we can say, all we need to specify this time isn't the layout, it's just the page title. Making a note here, huge success. Does anyone in the chat get that reference? Aperture science. Cool. So we've got the page title and we've got the text. Yeah, see portal, yeah. So funny story about that actually. So ooh, my ukulele randomly decided to fall over. But yeah, so many years ago, it's all right now because my network setup at home is like crazy because my best friend, he's a network expert, and so I've got one device is my access point for the Wi-Fi, one device is a router, one device is a modem. No one piece of network tech does multiple jobs. But yeah, back in the day, a way of checking that my network was still out with the same IP and everything was that it would email me every day singing that song at me. So it would literally just email me saying, yeah, making a note here, great success, to let me know the internet was still out with the right IP and everything. So yeah, whenever I have to do anything like that, I always just sing that little bit of the song, just for Why not? Old time's sake. Okay, so we've done that. So it's found that post. So if we go back to the website, we should be able to go to blog post 2 now. Woohoo! Look, we did it. This is a victory. Bravo to us. So yeah, so we didn't specify the layout, but it's already gone ahead and done it with the page title that we gave it. So whoop, go us. Small wins, right? Small wins. So if we go back to here, cool. Yeah, so that worked. Amazing. Cool. So we've won a home page. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, finish with the home page. So this is what we want. So we want to say that if we go to the root of our site, we actually want to see a page that lists the posts. So that's exactly what we want. So that's where this post tag comes in. If you were here earlier, you might have seen. So let's pop that in. How do we do it? So yep, comma, like that. Save it. Nice. Yeah, there you go. So anytime you use tags, Eleventy will make a new collection of all the pieces of content that use the same tag. Now our blog post will be available as a collection, specifically under the data.collection posts. Yep. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make an index.html. So let's steal this. And that's not going to go in posts because we want an index. So we're going to make sure that this is at this level. Right, that's in post, but I can move it. Yeah, so we've got an index.html that we want to paste that stuff in. Welcome to Coding with Luce. This is blog. And then it's saying for all the posts in collections.posts, put an H2 with the URL and the page title and the date. So that's where this tag stuff come in. So we've got this stuff here. So because we put it in the post.json, automatically every markdown file that we now put in this post folder, we don't have to specify up here that it's got the tag posts. It will just get applied automatically from here. So that's super powerful. And another reason why I'm beginning to really like Eleventy. The confusion that I got into with the other versions is all on me. That's not Eleventy's fault. That is my complete lack of knowledge. But that's why we learn. So we've got the index page, and we've done that. So we're using the same layout and assigning a page title. Yep. Then you iterate over the blog post collection using the for tag. Yep, so percentages is another clever one. So technically here we're not using a variable, we're doing actual code. So it's not double brackets, because double curly brackets is variables, but this is percentage. So that's clever. So it's saying it's just doing a for loop. If you've written other languages, I'm sure you've seen for loops before. And then you've got the URL. Yep, that's helpful because you want to be able to click it. And then it's got the creation date. Yep. So that outputs the following. Nice. You did it. It's a blog. Nice. Okay. We could use Netlify, but we're not going to do that. However, we could spin this up. You know, we could go through putting it on the web. We're going to use something called Azure Static Websites rather than Netlify. But we can do that. I don't care. There's nothing in it. So post.date is each post. Okay, so read about content dates. I want to read this one because if we start adding in other pages, I want to know about There we go, the date it was made. Cool. We can work with that. Just getting notifications, anything interesting? New. Cool. So, okay, we'll worry about that afterwards. We are going to put it on the web. That's what it said, put it on the web. And then we'll worry about the next steps, like old posts. But for now, let's put it on the web. So the first step is going to be, I'm going to load GitHub Desktop, and we're going to stick it on GitHub. Because that's kind of a good start, right? Yeah, that's okay. We're going to add, create a new repository. Coding with Luce final. That'll make no sense to other people, but I can always put a README in. Well, I will put a README in, that's kind of important. Coding with Luce blog final. Open. Initialize it with a README. Yep, git ignore. Ooh, okay. What do we want? Okay, Eleventy is not here. HTML will be there, but we want JavaScript or Liquid? So Liquid's not an option. Is JavaScript an option? Java? No. Really? Let's crowdsource this together. What should we pick as our git ignore? Oh no, there we go, that'll do. Create repository. And then we're gonna publish it. Keep this code private, yes please. Just for now. I'll make it public if we need to. But we'll see how we go. One thing I'm gonna do first though is add that Eleventy ignore, and you'll see why. So, as I said, we're gonna use Azure static websites for this, because even though it costs pittance. So it's Stuart the Coder saying, I haven't used GitHub Desktop much. Is it good? It's not bad. I tend to flick between command line and GitHub Desktop. It's just GitHub Desktop is quite good for if you've not, for just spinning up a new Git repository from like a project you've got. So if it's not already a Git repository, it's good for that. As you saw, it let me pick stuff like what languages git ignore file to follow, and I was able to keep it private and stuff. So just some steps, because if you do it from command line, normally the process would be go on github.com, log in, create the project, then so it's there on Origin, then either clone it blank or create it locally and then push tell it that the upstream to look at is origin/master for that project and whatnot. This just makes stuff a bit easier. Oh dear. Operation timed out. Alright, so maybe we're not doing that today. Let's just give it another go. It might be because I'm streaming. Cool. So, initial commit. There you go. So it's done that. So if we go on github.com, we should see my repo. If we go on my profile, let's hide my bookmarks bar. Nothing secret on there whatsoever, but it's just extra dump from the page. Ooh, it's me as a yellow person. Technically it's Simpsons, isn't it? But you're not allowed to say that because of copyright. So I got yellowed. Which is quite amusing because I don't drink much, so I can't get jaundice. But yeah, there we go. So we've got our git ignore file and stuff, which is cool. And it puts in all that extra stuff. We didn't need to worry about any of this stuff, so it's going to leave out any of the stuff that we just don't need. npm node. I don't actually see node modules, but okay. But where's the code? What's going on? Is it in the wrong place? So that's okay, release final, right? So don't do that. Load me a new tab. Not yet. What on earth did I commit? Interesting. I've committed something somewhere, but I don't know where from. Current repo. Where is it? Lost it. Where does it think we are? I'm so confused. We didn't find her. Where are we? Release final. Oh. Let's get rid of that lot. Come on. Copy. Up one. Paste. Delete. Bin. Okay. So add existing. Choose. Open. Add repository. Changes. History. Move. Okay. That one. There we go. Okay. So ignore file. Yep. We don't want .ds store because that's what to do with Mac. It always puts a .ds store, but we just don't need it. But yeah, so that's all the stuff. So now we'll actually push this up. Cool. And it's only added the stuff we actually care about. So let's added files from following tutorial. Commit to master. Let's do it. Push to origin. Hopefully that'll work now. So I want to make sure it's up there first. So reload this page. There we go, that's better. Woo! Time for another victory sound. But cool, so that's there. Now I'm going to do a couple of things before I start trying to put this on the web. But if we let's just open up. Do you know what? We don't even need to be fancy with Vim. We've got it open already. So let's go to README. Always found welcome Zero to Hero Dev. I've always found Solarized Dark so soothing. Although I prefer a tad bit more contrast. I didn't follow just for the theme. Well, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Well, I mean, I don't have any like fancy commands set up, you know, with like channel points where you can change the theme. But if anyone does have any preferences, let me know, because I'm more than happy to change the theme. This is just something that I like looking at. We want to do bold. Nope. This is intended to end up as coding with Luce. This is let's see, this is okay, so first of all we're going to celebrate that Zero to Hero Dev followed 22nd of August 2020. We like to make a note of when people follow during the stream so you can be a part of history forever. So, follow the stream. 22nd of August 2020. Yeah, so this is a static blog written using Eleventy. Intended to replace a ghost blog posted on Azure. That'll do for now. So put some stuff in the README. Let's just preview it quick to make sure that it doesn't. Yeah, there you go. It's in bold. Woo! Thanks for the support, Zero to Hero Dev. It's great to have people follow. I've got enough followers for affiliate, but I haven't streamed enough times in a month to qualify for affiliate yet. But we're working on it. It's just one of those things I want to do where I want to get the setup right. Like, it seems that doing web development is so low resource hungry, and that normally my CPU throttles out when I'm trying to do mobile apps. So I'm really excited to see that web dev doesn't, and according to OBS, we're doing all right. I don't know what the resolution's like, whether it's readable and stuff, but I'm just excited that stuff's working, and I'm happy to keep doing this blog on stream. Like, some stuff will be quite boring because it's just copy and pasting a markdown file to add the posts in. But stuff like starting to add styling in, we can do on stream, and it's something I can do regularly. We can do it together. It's not clearly my laptop's not falling over. Touch wood. Jokes aside, content creation is hard AF. Indeed, it is a long tail that maybe eventually pays off. But what's more important is to have fun along the way. I could not agree more. I don't ever expect to be some top streamer, especially because coding streams don't get the numbers like gaming. You know, streaming isn't intended to be some kind of income source. It's just a place for me to hang out with people where friends can come say hi, we can learn together, I can try new things, and people can teach me, and vice versa. There'll be times I'll stream, there'll be stuff like mobile development, and there'll be a nice chunk of basics that's already up here, so I can teach you. But then things like this, I have no idea. We're doing it together. If you missed, I think you might have missed the start, Zero to Hero Dev, but yeah, essentially I tried to do this 3 times and kept going wrong, so we've just reeled it back to the start. So we're just having a bit of fun trying something different. I want to move so the reason, bit of background for anyone that's new. So I currently have a blog that I host on Azure App Service using Ghost. And it costs me Azure credits. I get them free as a Microsoft MVP, but it burns through most of them. And that means that I'm limited on experimenting with other fun things unless I want to start paying out of pocket, which boo. So I want to move all this across. So I almost want to recreate this with, the header and the nice blogs and the tags and the date and whatnot. So I'm just migrating something cheaper. But for now, we're just starting from the beginning. We've got some pages up, and now we're going to put it on the web. We're not using Netlify. We're going to use something called Azure Static Websites, but it just needs to be in GitHub first. So we've got that in GitHub. We've got our README up. The other thing I want to do, as I mentioned, is add that Eleventy.js file. The reason I want to do that is because I know from reading a fantastic blog, which I'll share with you, which is, I think, nope, can find it. So my friend Amy's awesome. But there we go. Oh, that was almost right. I was missing an S. But yeah, so this is Amy. Amy's a CSS expert. It's her job, but she also streams and gives talks on it and stuff. But this is an Eleventy blog, and it's pretty snazzy. But where's the blog here? There's the blog. Go back to Google. Quackers! But yeah, so there's the blog. she has a blog essentially, and she did a blog post about this, which is, there we go. When it loads, there we go. Moving to Azure Static Web Apps. So I'll put this link in the chat. But essentially, one of the things that she learnt was that, there you go, gotchas. So there's this stuff here about node modules. So when you do a static website, Azure uses its own node modules folder to install things. And so if you don't do it, if you don't add an Eleventy ignore, what it does is it tries to build out that content, which then breaks. So we just need to put together this file that will do the trick. So I've done this previously, so pretty sure if we go to Amy's GitHub and find her blog, we will find an Eleventy, don't know, or not. Oh no, she didn't do it for that, did she? It'll be in, so she was talking about a Quokka project, which is awesome, by the way. But essentially, I stole it from there. There we go, Quokka's on demand. So she set up a really cool website that uses Twilio APIs to handle. You can use WhatsApp to ask for. Do you know what? Never mind. It's in here somewhere. Essentially, I stole a Eleventy ignore file from Amy, and I've got it in the bin. So we're going to add it to our stuff too. So let's just load the bin. There we go. Copy. I'm just going to drop it in here. So we have this Eleventy ignore file. We want to open here. There we go. So it excludes README, which you've got here. And then that's our Oryx prod node modules that you saw. Stuart the coder, I've got to go get dinner, then go for a walk while the weather's good. Thanks for the stream. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for sticking around for so long. I probably won't be online for much longer, to be fair. I'm having fun, but my stomach's starting to rumble because I need to eat dinner because it's 6 p.m. here in the UK. But we'll at least get to the point where the page is on static static websites. And if that's a success, then I'll go and eat dinner. And I might come back afterwards. We'll see. But yeah, so we've got this Eleventy ignore. So now we can go back to GitHub and we can push those changes. So added some extra files in readiness for deployment. Commit to master. Do it. Once that's up, it should be okay. So now we can do the whole put it on the web thing. So if we go to portal, and log in. Da-da-da-da. This will be my dashboard. Nice, nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in a bit. So if you've not seen this before, this is the Azure portal. So Azure is like Microsoft's cloud provider, and the portal is their page that you go to manage your resources or set them up. All of this stuff can be done from command line, for example, but it's just easier to do it from here, especially when you're streaming, because a UI is much easier to get along with. But we want create a resource, search for resources. We want a static web app. There we go. So it's still in preview, but that's okay. So what this will do is we're going to create one. Yep, so it's going to be under there. We can reuse my Coding with Luce resource group. So resource groups are just essentially a way of grouping stuff together if they're similar, so they all work together. So it might be that you've got a website, the website also has a database, and so you'd put those two in a resource group because it just logically puts them together. I'm just reusing the Coding with Luce resource group because eventually I'll kill off the current blog, this one, which is also in this resource group. So it's just moving the blog to a new place, but it might as well be in the same resource group. But you can create a new one. So we're going to enter a name for it. So it's going to be Coding Luce blog. Pick a region. So our nearest region will be West Europe. Free. Yep. Sign in with GitHub. Cool. We can do that. Done it before, so it's just me. And then we're going to get the repository, which is going to be Coding with Luce final. And the branch will be master. Simple enough. So we're going to read Amy's blog because it was super helpful. So, no. There we go. Let's just have a look. So, well, Amy's got this working, so this was a good, perfect one to follow. I can't do shout outs on here, but I'm going to do a shout out to Amy because she's worth a follow. She's based in Perth, so obviously there runs the risk that she's streaming at a time you might not be able to make it, but she's still awesome. I'm just going to, I think it's like that, I think. Like that. Could be wrong. Right, that's right. Yeah. Hey, good guess. Well, this is what branding is good for, though, isn't it? When you have a brand, it makes it much easier to find somebody. Right, when my internet decides to come back in chat, I'll send that message. But yeah, so this talks us through how to do it. So, deploying from GitHub, yeah, that's what we want to do. Okay, so specify the details. So my static site sits in the root folder. Okay. My static site sits in the root folder repository, which I think is true for me also. So application slash and then app artifact location, which is where it outputs to, is going to be underscore site. Underscore site. There we go. Okay. And then we can just click review and create. Okay. We can manage that. Create. So what this will do is it will use GitHub Actions, which is GitHub's like CI/CD, and it will create a workflow file for you, and it will start to deploy it. Go to resource. Okay. So now it's here at this URL. So if we click it, okay. Wait. Okay. Check the deployment status in the GitHub Actions tab. Okay. So if we go back to GitHub, let's have a look what's going on. Why is it not working? Okay, release final. Actions, what's going on? Okay, so it's just building at the minute. So it's going to work through that and it's going to think about it, and hopefully afterwards we'll have a live website. So I like this as well, is that you can see here that it's doing a build. It's already automatically set to do it on push. So it's just doing these different steps. Let's see what happens next. So it couldn't detect the language, that's okay. Okay, I can't see it's right, there we go. Okay, that's a good start. Well, that's done. What next? Let's check the stat. Okay, so if we go back to this funky URL, okay, that didn't go so well. That's literally outputted everything. What are we doing wrong? So, app directory location / was found. Could not detect a new platform in the source directory, okay. So it's live, it's just not doing what I'd expect. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go and have some dinner, and then maybe once I've eaten, I'll come live again and we'll try and work out what's going on with this. Because although there's nothing going on at the moment, it's just two, like, starter markdown files that I will probably delete or rename and reuse for something else. At least once we know it's up, once we start pushing to it, the website will just slowly build itself up, and that's fun. So yeah, bear with me, and I'm going to go eat something, and then maybe later we can come back and we can start getting this on the website. Woohoo! Bye everyone, for now.